What is up YouTube, my name is John and today it's finally time to review Nightwish's 9th full-length album named Human Nature. Now the last album, Endless Forms Most Beautiful, was released in 2015, so it's been long 5 years. They have taken a little bit of a break and I think that is absolutely understandable. They've been touring a lot. And right now we have a new record on our hands. So this album kind of feels like a natural continuation of what was already foreshadowed on Endless Forms Most Beautiful, and the lyrical themes are mostly about, humankind, us as a, species, nature, about what humans and also the nature kind of battle us, what we create, what we destroyed, and even more stuff. So the album basically opens up with a single resonating sound, and that is where the first song of this album, Music, starts building into an epic intro that kinda depicts how music actually came to be, from a single sound to first tribal sounds to, religious choir/worship music to a whole symphony. And once the actual main part of the song kicks in and Floor starts singing and showing just incredible control and range, you know that you are in for a journey. This song has everything that makes Nightwish fun to listen to, and it feels very positive and uplifting. Now I feel that this is one of those tracks that you really have to listen to for yourself to really form opinion. It's really hard to put this one into words for some reason for me, but from the intro to the very last seconds of this song, this is definitely one of my favorites on the album. Already the first song starts off really strong, and we are moving on to the actual first single on this album, that is Noise. So Noise was the first single that was released from this album, and Floor's hectic verses in here kind of reflect this fast age of overload, both through her phrasing of the words and the lyrics in this song. The grandiose chorus and signature Nightwish sounds are still here, but unlike the singles from their previous albums like Elan, Storytime or Amaranth, this single is not afraid to change it up a little bit in the middle and go a little bit heavier. That part also contains a fantastic symphonic/choir part that really packs a punch, and when blended with the heavy riff and double bass, all the thumbs up from me. Now moving on to song number 3, that is named Shoemaker. Now Shoemaker is a song that doesn't wait around and brings some sharp riffs and Floor's pristine and fast phrasing right after the cold intro. Troy joins her between verses for a beautiful duet, and gotta say that their voices really work well together. Now Tuomas does offer a bit of a darker mood in the instrumental section in the very first part of the song, and it is definitely a welcome change of pace. Now then it all, after this darker part, and it all kinda melts down to a slight orchestra and a spoken word when suddenly Oprah! When the backing choir picks up with the orchestra up until the end of the song, that is definitely one of my highlights on this album, an excellent song. Song number 4 is Harvest, and this is the second single from this album that was released before the actual official release of the whole thing. And oh boy, Troy on lead vocals, yes, they did it, and it's so good. Honestly, first half is very folky, and I just get this feeling that I'm sitting in a small Irish cottage surrounded by green fields somewhere in the countryside with the fire cracking, feeling so cozy while the last remaining rays of sunshine shine through the windows. Oh yeah. We do get a bit into the metal territory in the second part of the song, and we hear flutes, bagpipes. I can definitely see this song working so well in an acoustic, intimate setting. Really a beautiful piece of music, and another thumbs up from me. Now song number 5, Pan, brings back the heavy and is packed with some of the most fun and edge-cutting riffs on this whole record. I for some reason got some flashbacks back to the Century Child album. I don't know why, it just, some parts in this song just felt like that album for me, like in general. And the verses here have a very playful keyboard, and Floor just sounds like a gentle fairy while releasing her powerful version in the chorus, especially the extended version of the chorus. Fun thing in this song is the choir that kinda goes ham for a little bit, and Floor also joins them in the second run, and they do this really awesome fast descending phrasing, and they really, with this piece, they really do deliver another one of my album favorites for sure. So song number 6 asks us, how is the heart? And after hearing this song, I can definitely say that much better. So heaviness is laid back a little bit, and the bagpipes and folky feeling is brought back, as well as Troy's backing vocals in the chorus. So the verses in this song kinda keep it simple and to the point, and the chorus is very catchy. We do get a bit more of a groove in the bridge section of this song, and that is followed by another chorus that is kinda stripped down of all instruments, just vocals, very beautiful sounding. And after that, it just hits us back with full force, and Floor just going absolutely ham. I really like Floor's emotional delivery of this song, and especially at the end when you hear just the vocals without any instruments, you can really hear a great chemistry between Troy's and Floor's vocals. Really great song. Kinda surprised that they didn't release this one as a single, but you know, maybe in the future. Another thumbs up for me, definitely a beautiful song. So song number 7 is named Procession, and it starts almost like something from 80s disco. Very spacey, ethereal feeling, and the first build up in this song is kinda interrupted with a bit of a keys flute vocal interlude that adds even more to that ethereal feeling of this whole piece. Then it picks back up where it left off, and it adds some more of that needed, you know, that electric guitar crunchiness to the song. And the vocal lines kind of stay the same almost throughout the whole thing, almost up until the very end. And while the build-up itself is really well written, I don't think that there is, you know, all that much of a payoff at the end of this song. And the ending just kind of leaves me wishing that there was more to this one. So it's an enjoyable listen for sure, but I might end up skipping this one in the future. The next song though, Tribal, I mean the name itself says a lot about this song, and it might just be the heaviest boy on this record. I mean, it's really rich on percussions, and when Floor hits you with those angry vocals, you know that you just don't ever want to piss off this woman. Ever! We get some cool primeval chanting on top of these very heavy riffs, and Kai Hato also does a fantastic job on the drums. The end of the song just kinda goes off the chain and offers a very rhythm-driven experience, with Floor singing her lungs out. So the first disc of this record ends with the song number 9 that is named Endlessness. Now Endlessness has a slower tempo, but is definitely no mere ballad. Now Marco is actually on the lead vocals here, and he brings a whole different vibe to this song, and I gotta say that the chorus even reminded me of some Devon Townsend project songs with its epicness, spaciness, and again very ethereal feeling. Now she does have just a few vocal parts in this song, but some of these parts actually reminded me of the song Sahara that comes from Dark Passion Play, and that is also my favorite Nightwish album. And there is this really beautiful drawn out guitar melody that, you know, is basically present throughout the whole song, and at the end of the song it's kind of played on, you know, it's played differently, it's played on a violin, and it just feels like something really huge is happening, like something big is ending, and it feels like a true ending to an album, you know? But wait, there is more. And then, oh boy, we have a big one. Now this is a big composition divided into 8 parts. And I believe that this part, or this, second album might not be for everyone. Someone might consider it boring, and that is absolutely okay. But I tried to go in without the word metal in my head and kind of going into this with an open mind, and I feel like that mindset kind of, rewarded me, because I feel like, especially when you're listening to this big piece for the very first time, that it is definitely better to listen to this without any outside distractions, and you will definitely get a different experience than when you just kind of fly through it, because this one feels like this could easily fit into an epic AAA fantasy movie. Now, the first part of this huge piece starts under the name Vista, and it starts very tender, calm, relaxing, but also quite sad and melancholic. And when the second part of this one piece of this big puzzle starts including some vocals in it, it just feels like a goddamn fairy tale, but it just also feels like the characters in that fairy tale are kinda saying goodbye to someone for good, and that is just how it felt to me. Now then, the second part, which is named The Blue, gets a bit more of an oomph with the gong drum going, and overall the mood starts to shift into something more mysterious, but also feels a bit more positive. The orchestra keeps on intensifying this piece, and some choirs are also added later on in the song, and when this part hits its peak, we hear bells, birds, ocean, sea, and that is what I believe the blue means. Now, moving on to the third part, we start again with a brand new melody that is again sad and also beautiful at the same time, but also somewhat hopeful and calming, and this part is named The Green. This section feels to me like discovering hidden beauties of our nature and the feeling that you get from seeing majestic forests, canyons and panoramas. Violins do get a lot of space here, and this part does build up a bit of the orchestra, but not too much, and I believe that that is good in this case. Now we get to the part named Moors, part number 4, and this one is my personal favorite of this second disc, and my personal favorite from all the 8 parts. When those bagpipes hit, oh man. That melody mixed with the orchestral arrangement is absolutely enchanting, yet still retaining that sense of northern melancholy that I can't get enough of. Then after like a minute and a half, the boom, suddenly it gets very dark for a bit and really, gloomy, but then again, just suddenly, like that, it goes back to where it was before with that beautiful melody played on the bagpipes, and it feels quite relieving, after that sudden change, and it just feels like, this song wants to tell us, or this part of this song wants to tell us that mankind, or maybe the nature kind of persevered through some big, change, a big dark age, something like that. Still talking about moors, now the second part of this piece is laden with another beautiful melody, and definitely do remember this one, because we might hear it again in the future. Now, the another part number 5, Aurora. I feel like I've been dropped into some kind of water level when this starts, and it kind of makes you feel like dancing at some parts. And the second part of Aurora feels very, very uplifting, very joyful. And at the end of this shortest piece of the puzzle, Thomas even joins in for a little bit of keyboarding there. Now for the next 2 parts named Quiet as the Snow and Anthropocene, they do lose me a little bit. Like, we get a minimalistic piano with some whispering, and by the way, I absolutely hate whispering. It makes me feel really uncomfortable, so definitely no ASMR for me. And while on this record it was actually handled really well, I could still do without it, but that might be just a personal thing. But overall still, even the orchestra part that follows doesn't really evoke any specific emotions like the previous ones did. And yeah, maybe in a couple of moments it kinda sets up for something, but it's just not enough to really keep me interested. And Androphocene is quite playful at some times, but that's just it. Thankfully, the last part that I was already familiar with made a lot more sense this time around, and it really is the amazing epic grand finale that I was hoping for, melding together all the elements of the previous parts and moving in powerful speech that really puts everything around us in perspective. And I love that the melody that I mentioned before from Moors makes an epic comeback, and the finale with added Floor's vocals. It was like seeing the ending credits of a fantastic movie that just made you feel all the different kinds of feelings. Ad Astra, that is the name of this final piece. To the Stars, I believe it's the translation. And it really finishes this album with style, and even though the last few seconds sound a bit unsettling, and to me that kind of symbolizes this, yes, we made many amazing things and we might be able to go to the stars one day, but there are still horrible things happening to this planet that we must first take care of and better ourselves as species in many aspects. So this piece overall, called All the Works of Nature Which Adorn the World, left a strong and lasting impression on me and really left me thinking. With all that being said, I definitely think this album is a step up from Endless Form's Most Beautiful, simply because I feel like it has more standout moments. Marco and Troy also get their spotlight, and the big final piece of this album, respectively the second disc, is really emotional and grandiose experience. Now, Endless Form's Most Beautiful for me personally was like 7 out of 10, and the same with Imaginarium, and Dark Passion Play plus Once are for me personally 9 out of 10, and I'm still kinda indifferent on the, you know, the oldest records. Like, it is just one small step from 9 out of 10. Hell, I believe that this album even had the potential to be, you know, 10 out of 10. But Procession and the two mentioned parts of All the Works of Nature that adorn the world did feel like something that I would normally skip. So yeah, there are also no radical experiments on this album, or these albums actually. But after Ad Astra ends, I can definitely with a clear conscience give this album an 8.5 out of 10 that I think it definitely deserves. I still feel like their best album with Floor behind the mic might see the light of day in the future, but for that to happen, I feel like there has to be at least that one song that I won't ever expect from Nightwish. You know, bringing in something fresh, new and unexpected and making it work beyond their usual sound. I'm definitely planning on returning to this album again in the future, and I feel like it's gonna stand the test of time better than Endless Form's Most Beautiful, at least for me personally. And now just to see how these new songs will sound live. Alright, so that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Nightwish's last record, Human Nature. I really like it. I think I'm gonna listen to this record again after I finish recording this video, so definitely do let me know down in the comments what your rating is, what songs are your favorite, if you like this album, if you hate this album, if it's your favorite Nightwish album, if it's your least favorite Nightwish album, any kind of thoughts that you might have about this album, definitely do let me know down in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. Check out my social medias down in the description of this video, as well as my Patreon, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers!